Welcome to This Explainer. Let's dive right into a massive historical mystery between two ancient texts.
People often ask, did the Quran just copy the Bible? Well, one wild anomaly challenges that.
Take the story of Joseph. Both texts share it, but there's a really glaring discrepancy.
Let's look at the actual titles they used for the Egyptian ruler during Joseph's life. In Genesis, the Bible repeatedly calls this ruler Pharaoh. Sounds totally normal, right? But the Quran? It consistently uses al-Malik, which literally just translates to the king.
Seriously, throughout the entire Joseph chapter, the text never uses the word Pharaoh. Not once.
This seemed trivial for centuries. Then, modern Egyptology finally cracked the true history of that title.
This timeline shows how our grasp of Egyptian royal titles totally flipped as discoveries were made. Scholars now know Joseph lived before Pharaoh became a title. Calling him king is historically accurate. So what happens when the Quran talks about Moses, who lived many centuries later? Let's see.
Fascinatingly, from Moses' era, the text suddenly switches. It repeatedly calls that later ruler Pharaoh.
The text deliberately separates them, nailing the historically correct titles for each completely different era.
Okay, so why does this tiny historical detail matter so much for understanding these ancient texts?
Because the actual timeline of the word Pharaoh was only deciphered from hieroglyphs in the 19th century.
Meaning folks in 7th century Arabia had absolutely zero access to these hidden archaeological records.
If this was just a copy-paste job from the Bible, you'd totally expect it to reuse Pharaoh.
Instead, we get a subtle, spot-on distinction that modern research backs up 100%.
This really hints that the text holds independent historical facts, standing completely apart from earlier scriptures.
The terminology lines up perfectly with what Egyptologists finally uncovered over 1,000 years later.
So here's the ultimate question. If it was merely copied, how did it get this historical detail exactly right?